Hello, I'm back. Deving on an iPad like a crazy person. Okay, where were we? I had done the longest of introductions. What I want to do is delete these files. You can actually use that top menu. So delete. It keeps that one in memory for some interesting reason. Anyway, delete. Okay. So now I have an empty folder. I want to make a new folder, but I cannot remember how. What do I do? Should be a button, actually. What if I take that out completely? Go away. That's so weird. It's hidden. It's hidden beneath the keyboard. Okay. Let's make a folder. For now, I'll just use the keyboard. The iPad keyboard. Wow, my English. Okay. Rename this. Since this is the admin folder, I'm just going to call it underscore. And the purpose of this folder is to store maintenance scripts in. So the kinds of things that will sync data, that will archive code, add it to some kind of JSON lookup file, and then when I'm at internet again, upload those files and work them into a Git repo. So that's the goal for that. While I'm here, I'm just going to make a couple of other folders, the usual kind of things. So I'll make an app folder. Woo! And in app, I'll make another one called, let's see, let's call this, I keep on wanting to type on the keyboard, but it's unplugged. What should we call this? Oh, I don't want to call model. This isn't strictly speaking either a Laravel or a Silverstripe app. I think those are like, I should tackle that later. But in the meantime, I'm going to make something that could be feasible as a project structure. So I'll call this user PHP. I won't actually put any information in it, but I have user.php in model, in app, in the root. Okay, so app, let's make a database folder, I think. So this is where you'd put things like migrations. Database, that's where you'd put things like migrations, etc. I won't go into that too much. Let's make another folder called public. Public. That's fine. I'm not going to go too crazy about these things. I have a nested structure that has a PHP file in it. Okay. Now, let's look at what we can do in these things. I will make a file in the maintenance folder called, what should we call this? One of the operations that we want to have is, let's see, a commit operation. And remember, what I'm doing now, I'm exploring the APIs available as much as what you're seeing them. So maybe this is going to be really frustrating to watch. I hope not. Okay, commit PHP. Commit PHP. Let's do some debugging now. I'm going to have to do, I don't have a CLI to use, so I'm going to have to do a mix of PHP code and really raw HTML code. I'll maybe add some style sheets in later to make it look a bit better. Maybe have it like bootstrap themed. But for now, it's going to be really rough and raw. So commit PHP. What I'm thinking about this is to have a file that has a text area and a submit button. And the text area is where I'm going to put commit messages for the changes that I've made to the code. And then I want to have it take that string, as well as the file name of the generated zip file it makes of the whole source code, and put that into a JSON file. Okay, so this is going to be some trial and error. To start with, I'm going to say, if not file exists. And what we can call this is, let's use a magic constant and see if that's available in this environment. Directory /up1, which takes us into the document root. Actually, I like it being in the same directory. I'll have the manifest in the same directory. Should I have like a I should actually have a subdirectory in the maintenance folder in which these things are stored. So I'll do that. Okay. Let's say commits manifest.json. The only reason I look so awkward typing here, it's not actually that awkward, but I have like no desk space for my hands to rest on. That's why I look a little bit like an eagle typing here. But the idea is that it's a comfy enough keyboard that if I had space to do it, I could. I mean, I could probably move the stuff up a little bit. Okay, so we have okay, closing. If those don't exist, then if that doesn't exist, then well, it's been a long time since I've used Windows hotkeys to do this. Is that spaces? Oh, that's tabs. Oh, I'm so sad about that. It's tabs, not spaces. What did I just do? Why does Control-Z not do what I wanted to do? Okay, so there are some teething pains with this editor, I must confess. Yeah, I know it's crazy. But I'm doing it. I'm trying it out. Okay, if the manifest doesn't exist, make it. So touch. Maybe what I should do is take this path. Oh, not that way. So let me take this path and store it somewhere. So manifest path. I'm going to use underscores because I'm using tabs already. Who really cares? Control V, Control V. Why can I not Control C, Control V that? I'm not doing TDD on here. You're crazy. Control C. I have to have copy paste. Hold on while I figure out this UI a little bit. Okay. Command C. Okay. Tip. If you're using a keyboard like this, the iPad registers the Windows key on the keyboard as the command key on a Mac keyboard, and the copy-paste shortcuts are Windows C and Windows V, which translate to Command C, Command V. Good to know, which means I should be able to use the Windows key for a little bit more stuff, but anyway. Okay, so this is manifest path. Maybe we should actually just put a valid JSON structure. So file, put contents, manifest path, and then we'll just put a fake object in there. Okay. All right. Now, before this will work, I actually have to make that manifest path. So bad. Let's see here. What I'm learning is that with the state that this app is in now, it's actually better that I don't have a Bluetooth keyboard paired with the iPad, because it's really easy for me to just pull the receiver out to get to these controls down here. It wouldn't actually be that easy to do it with a Bluetooth keyboard. That is, and I haven't used an iPad Pro's keyboard yet. That is, unless the iPad Pro has a keyboard hide reveal button. If it has a keyboard hide reveal button, you wouldn't need this kind of thing. Anyway, bit of a sidetrack. So what we wanted to call this was commits. Okay, so we have the commits folder. We have a commits.php. Let's try and run just this code to begin with. Run. Okay, now we're not actually going to see what it's done because we haven't printed anything out here. But if we go into commits, there's a manifest JSON, and it has JSON in it. It has the string that we wrote. So what this says to me is that our editor gives us the ability, this draft code gives us the ability to read and write files in a file system. We have access to the magic directory constant, which is great because we can just structure everything in this maintenance folder in relation to where it is in the site tree, the site root. There we go. Okay, we have that manifest JSON file. That's cool. Okay, let's continue. So we have let's get manifest is file, get contents again, manifest path. We don't have to worry about multi-user access because I don't think it's possible. Shush, Uncle Bob would not be ashamed of me. He would say buy an iPad, iMac Air, MacBook Air. Shush. Or a Surface. You know what would be hilarious? Let me find out. Let me find out the cost of this. Let's actually do a side by side here. Okay. Now this is going to be New Zealand prices because that's where geolocation is telling them I am. Go away. I don't want your newsletter. Surface 4. Bonus Xbox. Wow. Save up to $200. I mean, so Surface Pro 4 is probably comparable generationally to iPad Pro. Very roughly speaking here, right? iPad Pro. I just want to get some rough prices here. If I was someone who had 5 minutes to work out what the cheapest option would be here. So Surface Pro, 1,600 New Zealand dollars. I don't even know what that comes with. But this runs a version of Windows that would make it easier to develop on than I think the iPad environment that I have here. So there's that. Where's the price of this? Comparably speaking, what we're talking about is actually not an iPad Pro, because that's closer to what I'm doing with this setup, even though the setup is very ghetto. Comparably speaking, what I'm looking for is an iMac Air's cost. But here, okay, so $600 for what looks like the cheapest iPad Pro in New Zealand. MacBook Air. This is very much, I feel, the same thing as getting a Surface Pro with a keyboard. Size-wise, battery life-wise, capability-wise, except it's not going to run macOS. Buy. So well designed though. $900. So, safe to say, this setup is a lot cheaper than $900. And $900 is a lot cheaper than $1,600. Just saying. Okay. Back to where we were. So there's a question: why not make it with code? Why make it with code if it's not exist? Touch it to create. What I'm doing here is, if it doesn't exist, make a file that has a JSON parsable value, so that I can say manifest is JSON decode manifest. Oh, manifest. That's why. I don't have to do it like this. This is how I'm doing it. You get your iPad and you structure it like you want to structure it. Okay, if it doesn't exist, create it, then read the file and decode it so that you have a JSON structure. Let's decode it as an array, which is the true parameter, or the second parameter on JSON decode. Just because I feel like it. Okay. Now, this actually only happens after we post. So let's wrap all of the stuff. If is set post, and let's just call this, well, let's just say if commit is posted. So we'll call the submit button commit to qualify that. Will this work if I hit tab? No! Oh well, I'll just tab all these things in then. Okay. So that's what's going to happen with that. Now I need to make an HTML document. So, okay, form method is post. Action is blank because it's going to come back to the same place. And close the form. No CSRF protection. No siree. Input type text. Type. So here's a small thing. No, okay, so what I'm comparing, that's a good point. They're both tablets, but what I'm comparing is iOS to OS X, unfortunately, or macOS. Surface Pro loads a legit version of Windows, okay? And a MacBook Air loads a legit version of macOS. That's a fair comparison, I think. Hardware-wise, I'm not even talking about. Operating systems-wise, they're very different. But if I had to work on a Windows machine, I could do work on a Surface Pro. I wouldn't want to, but I could. I think comparing a MacBook Air to a Surface Pro is fair. Especially when a MacBook Air, in this instance, is like an entry-level MacBook Air versus an entry-level Surface Pro. Anyway, there are probably versions of the Surface that are cheaper than the Surface Pro. I don't know, because I just haven't done that research. But I think my overarching goal for that comparison was to point out that this setup that I've got here was like 100 New Zealand dollars. Well, about 200 New Zealand dollars, I guess. It's been so long, I don't remember, but it feels like it should be about $200 for the iPad, about $200 for the software and the kit to go with it. So if you've got an iPad already, you can do $200 and you can get a development environment, is what I'm going for. Okay, so Surface 3 would be a fairer comparison, and if I wanted to, I'd go check that out, but I don't really. Okay, input type text, name is message. That's fine. Oh, it's done this thing again. Why does it do this thing? Woohoo, I didn't even notice. Have small code files, you won't notice the errors in the application. Submit, name is commit. Let's call that commit as well. Here we go. Empty string is also valid JSON. Really? I didn't know that. I thought a valid JSON file had to be... Well, I guess you can encode something that's not an object or an array, so it makes sense that you can decode something that's not an object or an array. I know recently, it's probably my recent stuff I've done into the failure modes of jQuery that's made me believe that. Because in jQuery, if you submit an empty string, if you have a successful 200 response with an empty string, jQuery triggers the error handler because there's no data. So I think that's what's making me think that. Okay. Okay. Now, what I need to do is I need to go research because I have never used the zip module in PHP. For shame. Here's a trick. You want to know how to get documentation of exactly the function you're looking for? php.net/function and the function name. I don't know if zip is the actual function name, but it's going to give me a nearest match. No, it didn't. It didn't do that. Ignore me. What is the zip archive class? Okay. Let me look for examples. New zip archive, you give it a file name. Open add from string. So that's reading stuff. Zip archive, open the zip, extract to close. Let's see if there are some easier. Let's see if there are some easier API functions I can use. So extract to, I saw that over there. So I know how to export it, but I'm not sure that I want to export this right now. I'd like to just be able to open the file and then shove stuff in it. Add file, location null. Oh, there we go. So it's not much different from the... Yeah, but look at this. So Silver Sphere Silver says Surface Pro is more like a laptop. If you want to compare a tablet, go to the Surface 3. But I'm not comparing a tablet. I'm saying MacBook Air versus what Microsoft has to offer. The point is this is cheap. Okay, add file. If supplied, this is the local name inside the zip that will override the file name. So, oh, I'm sorry, the lag's bad. So it's probably not Silver Sphere. No, Silver Sphere has also complained about it. So, well, not complained, but pointed out that there's lag. So maybe it's on my end. Oh, get over it. Is this actually cutting off still? This cutting off bug, if it's doing it, I don't think it's doing it now. It's pretty annoying though, I think. Okay, so where was I? Let's see. Archive is new. Zip archive. Oh, it's funny, it doesn't highlight that. All I'm going to do to begin with is to see if this creates it successfully. So let's run. Let's hit the commit button. It creates an instance. Yeah, so it creates an instance of the zip archive. Sorry, I'm looking at chat. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Creates an instance of the zip archive. That extension appears to be working nicely. Oh, has it actually cut that stuff off? That's so annoying. That's so annoying how it does that. Okay, I'm just going to use the limited view that I have there. I do apologize about that. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to get... Yes, so if they have... I remember too, the comment was made, League PHP have a nice wrapper. And I'm very keen about that, but I have no way to pull that code down onto the iPad right now. It's one of the maintenance things I need to do. I'd just be happy to get the zip archive into the manifest working for the stream. You don't need the function anymore. Awesome. So you can just do php.net/ and the name of the function should work if you have the right function name, which I didn't. Yes, I want to get to the point where I can create an environment on like an actual, create a code folder on an actual machine and then just sync it to the iPad. Right now I can't use Composer. I don't have command line. I could probably cobble it together if I used curl to download Composer far and then had an interface that ran Composer commands. I could probably cobble it together with that. Okay, what was I trying to do now? Thing I'm searching for is PHP glob recursive. I don't want to use iterators for this. I just want to use glob. Glob, 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 glob. Glob. R glob. R glob. Do I need to use recursive iterator? Well, I may as well, right? It does ship with it. Maybe let's do it the right way. I'm going to copy this verbatim though, because I don't feel like trying to get it synced. So let's just copy this. Okay, so get a list of the files. Let's make an empty array for this. I'll worry about indentation later. Let's call this properly, and we'll say new recursive. Did I spell that right? Cursive. And it is, so it's one level up. That's the directory. Okay. It's interesting when copying and pasting is has like cognitive overhead, how little I actually want to do it. So iterator files, I need to, why do I want to do this by pattern? I don't actually want to do this by pattern. Where's a good example for this? Okay, so recursive iterator is going to give me every file. Let's try this out. Just for giggles, let's try this out. Okay, let's get this back up here, and let's make this a little bit aligned, and let's minimize this so that the noise is out the way. Okay. So files is file. And then I'll just print this out and see how I can whittle it down. Files, there we go, and run. Okay, and we have to hit the commit button. Here we go. Okay, so we have some SPL file infos, which is good. For each of the files here, what I need to do is exclude this. So I need to exclude the maintenance folder. Yeah, I need to exclude the maintenance folder. I can do that. Let me try and figure out how. To get the full view in here. Okay. So I'll indent this a little bit. Okay. Now, let's exclude things that come from the same folder that we are. I think an interesting function that we can use for this is dir name. Or maybe what we can do, let's see what the real path is. Let's see if the real path function works for us. So print real path file. It's not that bad to run scripts that run Composer. You're being dramatic. Okay. So, RealPath, I mean, it's a phenomenal folder. Starts at private. Yeah, it's a phenomenal. Let's clean this up a little bit. Hey? Let's clean this up a little bit. So, I'm so tired of this. This bug is the worst. Okay. So, neat is file. Neat is string replace. Search for real path directory and replace that with nothing in neat. And then print neat. Okay, I'll just indent that for now. Run, commit. Have I got this order wrong? String functions are haystack, needle. Array functions are needle, haystack. I've got this order wrong. What syntax error are you giving me here? What syntax error are you giving me here? Let's get the real path of file, replace the real path of file, the prefix of it, that is the current directory. Like that. And actually we're replacing this from the haystack first. My mumblings. Nothing! No! Oh, butts. Why you do me like that? Would be cardinal sin to commit your vendor folder. It seems like the only way if you wanted to work from Laravel app on your iPhone, iPad. Personally, at this stage, I'd rather wait. Yeah, so that's a good that's an interesting position to have. The stuff that I'm coding now, which I'm probably not going to go much further with, the stuff that I'm coding now is infrastructural, and I hope that it gets to the level of quality where I can just get by with scripts that pull down working versions of code, including vendor, and create archives of stage changes and commit them through some service that I make as well. That's the goal. But actually, I've just really had fun trying to experiment with what's available on the iPad and learning some of the shortcomings and the shortcuts and getting a feel for it. Unfortunately, I think we are kind of out of time and I haven't really done that much. But hopefully I've given you a sense of what's required to at least start experimenting with code. And I plan to fiddle around with this for a little bit more and try and get like a decent workflow. And if I get something nice, I may stream about it to show you what's going on. kind of disappointed that I didn't get to the point where I could try and install Laravel on here, but I'm definitely going to try that. Anyway, though, I think that's all I have time for, or all I want to spend time on tonight. So thank you for being here and for asking questions. And if you want to talk about the mirroring app that I've got going here, or other weird things, speak to me on Twitter. But I'm going to go now, so bye.